Bearcat Blitz, time for our closing show this week ahead of the Colorado matchup in the football landscape and wrapping up Big 12 basketball media days for Wes Miller's crew and the rest of them, including Simas Lukosius and Aziz Bandego. I'm your host, Russ Heltman of Cincinnati Bearcats on SI, and this is Bearcat Blitz across the Believe Network. We are presented by Bet Online. We'll tell you about Bet Online right now. Basketball fans, it's that time of year again. The NBA is back from opening tip-off to buzzer beaters. BetOnline has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. This season, every game matters. BetOnline has every stat, matchup breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the game. And it's not just the NBA. BetOnline has odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, to political props. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. Another jam-packed show for everybody with just yours truly, Russ Heltman. On the docket, flying solo with Neil Meyer, traveling back from Big 12 basketball media days. He'll be in the fold again next week, like normal. Colorado preview today. Will Cincinnati be able to overcome their current odds of 5.5-point underdogs on Bet Online? -113 to cover that 5.5-point spread against the Colorado Buffaloes on the road this weekend in a late night 10:15 p.m. Eastern kickoff on ESPN. We'll preview the defensive side of the ball for Cincinnati, the offensive side of the ball for Cincinnati, and I'll give you my prediction. Will I continue to pick the Bearcats? I have not picked against them once this year. 5-2 like the Bearcats, and overall record picking those games. We'll see if I roll with the Bearcats once again in this episode, and then we'll take a quick break and get to some Hoops Media Day takeaways, including a slight setback for Day Thomas with his foot injury, although I don't think it's a major setback, nothing to really worry about from the comments that Wes Miller made in Kansas City. Simas Lukosius, takeaways from his comments, and Aziz Bandego, takeaways from his comments, as well as those two were the only two in attendance when, as they were supposed to have Day Thomas there, but he had the setback with his foot on the day they were supposed to leave. So more important to get treatment for that than go do interviews hundreds of miles away in Kansas City. Quick timeout here on Bearcat Blitz. Get to a message from our sponsors and then the full show after that. Bearcat Blitz, ready to give you all you need to know about Cincinnati versus Colorado, a tight matchup this week, and one that will prime whoever wins this matchup to make a not necessarily guaranteed run at the Big 12 title game, especially for Cincinnati. They have a much tougher path remaining than Colorado would if the Buffaloes were to get this victory, but they're one of basically five teams left in the Big 12 standings that have a legitimate shot of taking home the crown and playing for a Big 12 title in the first week of December. Cincinnati trails just Texas Tech, Kansas State, Iowa State, and BYU in the standings, and they are one of just, I think, 4 3-1 teams. Yeah, 4 3-1 teams, along with Colorado, Texas Tech, and Kansas State, that are behind BYU and Iowa State for those spots in the Big 12 title game as of this recording. If Cincinnati wins this game, they will have head-to-head matchups remaining against Iowa State and Kansas State, meaning they will only need a loss, one more loss the rest of the year by Texas Tech. If they can win out, they will be in the Big 12 title game in that scenario. Obviously, a lot of work still to be done, starting with this game against Colorado on Saturday night, 10:15 kick on ESPN. Cincinnati has a 5.5-point underdog on Bet Online. Point total sitting at 57 points in this one. So a high total, a little bit of a higher total than we're normally used to seeing over the past few weeks for Cincinnati. ESPN's matchup predictor gives them a 31.9% chance to win this game. And looking at ESPN's S&P Plus metric from Bill Connolly, Cincinnati at number 40 nationally and Colorado at number 41 nationally. These two teams are very, very close. This should be a very tight matchup. I would be shocked personally if Colorado was able to win by multiple scores in this game. I think it'll be coming down to a touchdown, if not a field goal or less. And largely that's going to have to do with Cincinnati defense and the way that they contain this passing attack from Colorado throughout this contest. Shedeur Sanders is the headliner here. He is one of the best passers in the entire country. The odds-on favorite, I would say right now, to be the #1 pick in the 2025 NFL draft, especially if it's a QB needy team. I would be shocked if he isn't the first quarterback taken, him or Cam Ward, in the 2025 first round selection slate. 0-1 all time, as you see, against Colorado. Lone loss came in 1977. And if they are able to take out Shedeur and company, they will be bowl eligible for the 6th time in the past 7 seasons. Not going to be an easy offense to stop, as Sanders comes into this game with his highest graded PFF season of his career. He's a 90.9 graded quarterback overall this season. They're 7th nationally as a team in passing yards per game, 324. He's 2nd nationally, Sanders is, in completions per game, 4th in completion rate, 5th in passing yards, 5th in touchdowns. All in all, this is a top 30 offense passing-wise by EPA and number 39 nationally by success rate. How Cincinnati is able to contain this passing attack, limit the downfield attack, limit the downfield explosive plays, and ultimately get to Sanders in the pocket is going to change and ultimately guide the direction of this football game. 4 sacks allowed in 1 loss this season against Nebraska, and another 5 sacks allowed in another loss against Kansas State. I think they're going to have to get to Shedeur Sanders at least 4, maybe 5 to 6 to 7 times in this contest to be able to slow down that offense enough and get him off his spot. And he is a much different quarterback when opposing teams have been able to get pressure on Shedeur Sanders. 83.2 NFL passer rating according to PFF when under pressure this season. It goes up to an elite 119.2 NFL passer rating when he is kept clean. That's kind of the same story you'll see with a lot of quarterbacks, and it's no different for Shedeur Sanders. When you put pressure on him, he holds on to the ball a lot longer, and he makes a lot worse decisions with that football. They got to get to Sanders consistently in this game, and I think they will be able to, given Colorado's offensive line has allowed 25 sacks this season. That's tied for 129th nationally, and ultimately it's going to come down to that front 7 of Cincinnati up against that offensive line of Colorado, a Colorado offensive line that is not getting push in the run game either. Just 2.7 yards per carry this season. That's, I think, like right in the bottom 15 at least of all the FBS teams nationally. And they just, when you look at the deeper metrics, a lot better rushing the ball when you look at the EPA and rushing success rate, but they're still 60th or worse in EPA on the ground and rushing success rate overall. So Shedeur Sanders is the headliner. He is the driver of this offense, along with Travis Hunter and the rest of that passing attack, wide receiver Jimmy Horn Jr. as well. They are palpable. They have a palpable passing game, and one that's really going to test Cincinnati, a Cincinnati defense that comes in much better against the pass than they have been against the run. 62nd nationally in drop back success rate, allowing a successful drop back 38.5% of the time. And EPA per drop back allowed 47th nationally by this UC passing defense. It's going to be their toughest test so far this year, and one that I think they can hold up a little bit in. But if Dante Corleone, if Eric Phillips, if the rest of that defensive line, Jared Bartlett, Jake Golday, all of those front 7 guys aren't getting pressure, then Shedeur Sanders is going to show why he is projected to be the #1 overall quarterback taken in the 2025 class by most prognosticators. He's that good. He's that dangerous. And he's a guy that's going to make you pay if you do not get pressure on him. That's the biggest key to the game for me in this one. Getting pressure on Shedeur Sanders, forcing them to run the ball more than they want to, and forcing as many possessions out of the hands of Colorado as possible. That takes us to the other side of the football and goes hand in hand with getting pressure on Shedeur Sanders. Find a way to bleed this game out, stay balanced on offense, and limit possessions for this Colorado passing attack on the other side of the ball. Balanced execution is the #1 name of the game offensively for the Bearcats in this contest. They are facing a tough defense, to say the least. And it's a kind of a something's got to give matchup, because Colorado comes into this game offensively ranked 2nd in the conference in points per game so far in the conference slate. Cincinnati, as I mentioned earlier in the week, has given up the fewest points in conference play among any Big 12 team this season. So a little interesting nugget there. But getting back to the Colorado defense versus UC offense, stout defense out of Colorado. They give up yards at a decent clip, but they are hammering people in the red zone. Just 21.9 points per game allowed. That's 47th nationally. They're 8th in overall score rate allowed on those red zone trips by opposing offenses, 35th in TD rate allowed as well. So they're buckling down in the red zone and forcing teams to have to create big plays to get to that end zone. Cincinnati, not a good matchup for them in that sense. Can they create enough explosive plays while mixing in enough long drives to be able to keep this offense from CU from answering consistently? It's a tough needle to thread here, considering Cincinnati 107th nationally in red zone scoring rate this season. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult, especially for this offensive line, who I would say is coming off of arguably their best game as a full unit this past weekend against Arizona State. Brendan Sorsby kept very clean in that one, and they're going to have to keep him clean again. It's going to be very difficult, though, against a defense leading the Big 12 in sacks with 21 this year and tackles for loss with 49 so far. I truly think they got to get the run game going a little bit here, like they did against Arizona State. They were able to run the ball decently well, able to get 3 touchdowns or multiple touchdowns out of that rushing attack. And I'm looking at Brendan Sorsby to be a kind of skeleton key opener for that red zone rushing attack when they get into those short areas. Can they utilize an extra blocker? Can they utilize Brendan Sorsby's legs and get that extra man advantage success that they were able to find last week at home? It's going to be a big one here because I think it's going to be tough to throw the ball in that red zone area and be able to score touchdowns. Probably going to need that extra man and probably going to need Brendan Sorsby's legs to at least get 1 touchdown appearance in this game. Not great against the run is Colorado. They're much better against the pass when you think about a defense that's ranked 22nd nationally in EPA per dropback allowed and 38th nationally in success rate allowed against opposing passing attacks. Much worse, not much worse, but worse against the run. 57th in rush success rate allowed and 52nd in EPA. So I think consistent hammering along the ground, enough passing mixed in to keep things balanced and to be able to try to attack some of those explosive play opportunities that the Colorado's defense has given up so far this year is the best formula. But all in all, UC has to be very disciplined and on time in this football game. And so does Brendan Sorsby. It's probably going to take a little bit better performance out of Sorsby in this one, especially taking care of the football than we've seen in recent weeks. And will they be able to access the outside areas of the passing game, the deep outside areas of the passing game that have been largely inaccessible over the past few weeks? They have not hit a lot of deep plays down the outside in the passing attack recently. Will they be able to against Colorado? Will Brendan Sorsby have enough time to get to those passes? It's going to be a big one in this one. Ultimately, I am rolling with Colorado, picking against Cincinnati for the first time this season. Pains me to do it. I really don't know who's going to win this game, but I'm just going to give the edge to the home team with the better quarterback, the home field advantage, and I think the slightly more havoc-creating defense in Colorado here. But I would not be shocked if Cincinnati were able to pull this upset and really springboard their chances of making the Big 12 title game in just a little over a month. 31-30 victory for the Colorado Buffaloes. I think it comes down to maybe a last-second field goal, maybe a scenario like UC faced against Texas Tech where they hold the ball in the last possession, but they come up just short. I think it's going to be a classic in Boulder on Saturday night. Get your coffee ready, as it's going to, if it's that exciting, it'll be that exciting up until about 1:32 a.m. Eastern time, which fine by me. Big 12 time zones all over the place. And at least it's not a weeknight. We're good to go. You can sleep in on Sunday. And hopefully for Bearcats fans, my prediction is wrong. We shall see when we reconvene on Monday. 31-30 victory for the Buffaloes. For a different B team. Buffaloes over the Cincinnati Bearcats. I think it's the first conference loss in a few weeks for Cincinnati, dating back to the L against Texas Tech, and they stay 1 win away from getting to bowl eligibility. Quick break here on Bearcat Blitz, and then we will dive into some quick takeaways from basketball Big 12 Media Days. But first, I want to tell you about Cherry Bundy. It's an awesome 100% tart cherry juice recovery drink that usually comes in these little 8-ounce shot bottles. It's 100% pure tart cherry juice. Easy for me to say right there. That has been shown to increase recovery, reduce soreness after workouts, contains naturally occurring melatonin that'll help improve your sleep at night, also contains immunity boosting elements as well, and it's trusted by the best of the very best. Over 500 collegiate and professional sports teams rely on Cherry Bundy for their recovery and performance additions. 10 of the last 11 Super Bowl champions, that's included every team playing in Europe or Brazil this season in the NFL, had Cherry Bundy with them, and the Bearcats are a part of that crew as well. The basketball team and the football team rely on Cherry Bundy to recover with. You can get Cherry Bundy at cherrybundy.com. That's CHERIBUNDI.com, on Amazon as well, or at retailers nationwide, including Publix and Kroger. I really enjoy Cherry Bundies. Love drinking them after my workouts. Love drinking them to start the day. It's good to get, there is some sugar in these, but it's all natural sugars. So good to get those in the morning, get your day started on the right foot. And it tastes pretty good for just being nothing added, pure tart cherry juice. People are probably thinking that's got to be bitter. It can't be very good tasting. It tastes great. It's a great tasting drink, and it's available in a bunch of different packagings. You can also get a subscription service to get a little bit of a discount with Cherry Bundy at their website at CHERIBUNDI.com. Cherry Bundy, recover with the best and recover like the Bearcats with Cherry Bundy post-workout drinks. Natural, 100% tart cherry juice. We'll be right back on Bearcat Blitz. Big 12 basketball media days are in the books. And quick update from Wes Miller. Day Thomas had surgery on his foot this offseason. It was a broken foot he suffered near the end of the campaign. And reportedly from Miller, had some discomfort, had a minor setback, quote unquote, with the recovery from that surgically repaired foot. And so was not in attendance for Big 12 media days. But after his initial press conference with the national crew, went and did his offshoot beat reporter press conference and said that he doesn't really see it being a major setback. Said that Day had called him that day after he had made those comments and said that he was already feeling better. So it doesn't seem to me like it's a major issue. I don't think it's anything to be super alarmed about. And I would be surprised if this lingers up and through the opener on November 4th. But obviously, with a season this highly anticipated, and just with the luck this program has faced, bad luck that is, injury-wise, over the past 4 years, this entire decade, you never want to see setbacks of anything like that, especially with a guy like Tyler McKinley, another depth piece already out for the season. Want to keep these players as healthy as possible, want these guys to thrive and have as long and good a seasons as they can. So sending good vibes to Day Thomas and his recovery from that foot injury. But it was another kind of feather in the cap of the excitement for Bearcats basketball. Looking at Simas Lukosius, he discussed how much he was frustrated a little bit, but also encouraged and ready to consistently carry his hot streak from the end of the 2024-25 season into, or the end of the 2023-24 season into the 24-25 season. 16.9 points per game Lukosius averaged in March on 42% shooting from deep, 9.9 attempts per game. If he hits, I mentioned this in my article yesterday, like 90%, 80, even 80% of that production level from three, this team is going to be in a really, really good spot. And Lukosius said, quote, obviously I was frustrated. That couldn't be my whole year. It's natural. It's something that I really wanted to work on, and not just because of the injury, and also because consistency has been a thing that I've always wanted to be known to take a big step in from year to year. And hopefully this upcoming year is where I have the most consistency. He looked consistently strong in the OSU exhibition. I think they're going to run a lot of offense through Simas Lukosius this year, rightfully so. Very excited to see how Simas kind of brings everything full circle in this season at Cincinnati. Hopefully keep him off the scooters and keep the cars away from hitting those scooters like he had happened to him last year. That was just crazy that we were talking about Simas getting hit by a car on a scooter last year. Knock on wood, none of that happens in 24-25. And then Aziz Bandaogo closing it out here. Very excited. Very excited to see how he brings a normal offseason to his latest campaign at Cincinnati. Been into the Monster Factory all year long. He talked about being able to go home to Senegal, go home to Africa for the first time in 5 years at media days, and just smiling the whole time. Like, you can just obviously tell that Aziz Bandaogo is in a much better spot mentally going into the month of November 2024 than he was going into the month of November 2023. And given that, it's just, I think, going to allow him and the rest of this Bearcats defense especially to get off on a really solid footing and be able to grow that foundation through an entire non-conference slate, not just 3 or 4 games at the end like they were only able to get with Aziz last year, and really be able to lean on that and pressure teams with that defense across a 2-game-a-week marathon sprint in the Big 12. I see UC as being one of those teams that other programs are dreading having to go face in the middle of January, in the middle of February, in the beginning of March, because of the defensive identity that they will build, in my opinion, across the non-conference slate. 20th ranked team in the nation has, I think, every right to be ranked that high, and maybe even higher, given what we might see in less than 2 weeks, about 10 days away from the start of college basketball season in the Cincinnati Bearcats landscape. Going to be a lot of fun. Neil Meyer back with me to recap everything on Monday and give his thoughts from Bearcats at the Big 12 basketball media days. And we will dive into more basketball at that, as it is a football off week next week, an off week that they're hoping to enter on a little bit of a Big 12 winning streak. We'll see if they can pull off the upset and prove me wrong on Saturday night against Colorado. For Bet Online, this has been Bearcat Blitz, presented by Bet Online, and we are part of the Believe Network. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
6, Ritter to the end zone, looking for Pierce. Did he hang on? Yes. Touchdown. Back as I've been around. Here he goes again. Busts free. Jerome Ford down the sideline. Foot race. House call. Touchdown. 79 yards. Big one in the Peach Bowl. This is a big one, too. And it's going to go all the way to the house on the first play